I was watching, not watching the news. Well, I think I was a little bit watching the news because my daughter was going to have a promo on NBC for a wrestling show. So I was stuck watching the NBC News and everything, which means that I started to get the political commercials. And one of the political commercials came up for the guy running for Secretary of State again. No, I don't know if he's running for Secretary of State again, if he's running for governor, Julianius or whatever his name is. Anyways, he plugs in there about how he's going to prevent ICE from switching plates on cars because that's the greatest threat to law and order in the state of Illinois. It's the greatest threat. It's just out there. It's just terrible that law enforcement will be trying to keep a low key and not have everyone dox them and follow them and call them out and yell 5-0 every time they see them when they're just trying to do their job, which is basically to keep us safe. I says, wow, that's really cool. That we live in such a great society where, 5-year-olds ain't getting shot on a street corner or in their house because of a thing. They've cured that problem in Chicago, not. And but what gets me is that why, when they say something like that is just so ridiculous and off base to me, but then again, I have a level of experience and education and everything, and I see that, well, why is he targeting law enforcement? Many of which that are actually residents of the state of Illinois, law-abiding residents of the state of Illinois, and they're here, federal law enforcement, enforcing the federal laws. Why is he targeting them? I would think that everyone that was a federal employee, once they saw that other federal employees are being targeted by the state for no reason, that he should lose all those votes, that demographic should be gone. But it compounds on stuff, all right? So one, this is, for the people in the back, the people that have been around for a while, for the slow people or the people that got educated in one of our very liberal universities, here's how it works. All right. You have everybody, whether they're legal or not, come to your state. The census, all right, is based, and there was the Supreme Court rulings on this. I hope that gets overturned, but they have your representation based on the population, and that's the population of everybody. Everybody. Legal aliens, illegal aliens, U.S. citizens, all those things. And the more population you have in the state, the more federal representation you get. So the more power you have in Congress. You still only get 2 senators, but then you have a lot more representatives, congressmen, than your state actually calls for. Because if you only went by the legal, there would be a lot less. So if you get all these guys in there, right, now you got a higher representation in Congress. But wait, that's not enough. That's not enough. We don't have enough yet. If we could get them to register to vote, right, then we have more voters, even though they're illegal voters and shouldn't be registering to vote. It's only illegal for them to vote. They could register all they want, but if they actually go in and vote, then they can be tried. They could be tried for election fraud there. Will the state actually try them for that? It's highly unlikely they will. But they don't even have to come in to vote, because now what you have is you have the mail-in ballots, and the mail-in ballots go out on the voter rolls. And they already know who lives at what address, because that's what your precinct captains, your ward committeemen, your aldermen, they have that all down. All right, they know who lives at what house. So all the names that don't match these houses get mailed to certain addresses where the absentee ballots are then collected. And, these people are on the voter rolls, and all of a sudden they voted, but by absentee vote. So they didn't actually go in and vote. Someone just grabbed their absentee ballot and put it in. And they're like, this is legit. But They're only checking in against the voter rolls. They're not checking to see whether the people on the voter rolls are actually allowed to be there. All right, so they go, oh, we checked against the voter rolls. So when they fight against cleaning up the voter rolls, because people die unless you go to the state and tell them, hey, here's the death certificate, here's everything else, the person's passed, take them off the voter rolls. They don't. They leave them there. In fact, if you tell them, in my humble opinion here, if you tell them that they're dead, they're like, okay, all of a sudden, that absentee ballot is getting sent to a new address where they pick it up and vote for the dead person. And you want to know, if you want to check this stuff out, you just look at the nursing homes in Chicago and Wilson Avenue and everything. And you know what? Everyone there votes all the time, every election. They always vote. And they always vote for the same people. It's like an entire building of 500 people. You would think one of them would say, no, I want to vote for the other guy. There'd be one cranky old man there that just wanted to see the right. But nope, they all vote. And that's like statistically impossible. So if you say, no, there's no voter fraud, it's like, no, you're believing people because there absolutely is. It's step-by-step documented. It's beyond obvious. So the only reason this guy's out there targeting ICE and trying to get people from being deported is because, one, the more people you deport, the less representation you get in Congress. Unless you move more people in that are legal or more people move to your state. But unfortunately, Illinois, people are leaving in droves. So the only thing they could replace them with is people that aren't supposed to be here. So if we keep kicking those people out, you're not replacing your numbers. And the numbers only matter not for tax collection, not for income tax collection. It only matters for the representation in Congress, for the census. That's why they want the numbers at, the census. And that is the key thing that answers why this guy is out there targeting federal agents and why he's, what do you call it, not placating, but he's, whatever. Is Paul in?
Yeah.
I can't see him, but no. All right, Paul. So what? Janulius.
I wasn't on at the first part. Who are we talking about?
Janulius.
Oh, he's only doing this because he's running for mayor.
Oh, he's running for mayor of the city of Chicago?
Yes.
You would think that's a step down in power, huh?
No, he's always been a social climber. A friend of mine worked in his administration, but he was independent. And Janulius, you remember he ran for Obama's Senate seat and he didn't get it. And then during the pandemic, he became the Secretary of State. I mean, he's done such wonderful things as he makes you go online for your appointments. And then when you show up, you got a 2-hour wait. And, he's doing stuff on the internet, which is kind of ridiculous. And he's making it very hard for senior people. I remember I went to the doctor's office and they never gave me back my driver's license or medical insurance card. And then a day or two later, I realized I didn't have my driver's license. And I called Janulius's office, as a senior, got an immediate appointment. And we went to the Crestwood facility. And even though I had an appointment, they told me it would be 3 hours standing outside. And then I was with Marla. I said to Marla, call the doctor. They had the ID. I left. I mean, they're notorious for this. And it's all to benefit him. So that's why he's targeting federal agents. He's technically not running for anything. So why is he running ads? He's got ads with a kid on with ice cream, and the girl's going, why is Alexi Janulius here?
Just lost.
And then they say that he's everywhere. He's fighting Trump. He's using the same.
Wait a second. He's fighting the president. the duly elected president. All right?
Right.
Popular president, duly elected. He's fighting him. Why? There's no fighting.
Because he feels that that's his voter base.
Well, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. You know, what is he, an enemy of the state? He's basically saying, I'm fighting Trump. Okay, you're an enemy of the state. You just labeled yourself an enemy of the state. Thank you.
Well, he's been noted for that. You know, I don't want to get into this because there's some privileged information, but if you knew about his when he was whatever he was, the treasurer or whatever he was, it was kind of weird. The stuff, and you know, there's people should look into the lawsuits that were filed and the ones he testified at. I mean, it's very interesting background. But you know what? He probably will get elected mayor.
Well, you know, name recognition is one thing, right?
Remember, he played basketball with Obama.
Oh, yeah.
That's all that matters.
So you're saying he's definitely going to get Obama's endorsement.
He didn't get it for the Senate. Okay. So I don't know what is going on. It's a ploy. It's like we talked about these people that went out to Broadview. They want to get name recognition. You know, it's all well and good. Okay, and they're playing to their base, but you got to understand, it's a game, and once you see it, you understand. Do I really want a guy that's going to go around doing that kind of stuff? You know, you do know that he testified before the Senate because he's the head librarian for the state, about all these horrific books that they were putting out, you know, about sexual stuff. And he testified that those were, that was, you know, freedom of speech and stuff like that. He's the head librarian for the state. You know, I mean, understand that there's a motivation here, that there's, you know, that they want, they don't care who the information hurts. They don't care how depraved it might be. You know, I mean, that Senator Kennedy was reading text to him from the books that he approved, and it was like he looked like Kennedy had lobsters on his head. I mean, it's a game, and once you know that it's a game and we're the chips, that's how it works. We need to stand up to this.
Well, yeah, the guy.
You know, he's talking about he doesn't want them switching vehicle registration plates, and you know, in theory that sounds real good, but if it's an undercover officer, you want him to have covert plates. I mean, I had an investigator friend of mine that had a phony Secretary of State driver's license, which was approved, and his name was Gus Terpenes. Okay, and we were on an undercover thing, and he told me never to use his name. His name was Dean. Okay, I got boxed in, and I'm yelling, Gus, he forgot his undercover name. I mean, you want people to be undercover. You don't want their plates out there. Why? So you could follow them, box them in.
That's the only reason.
And then maybe get yourself shot.
That's the only reason. And it's like, okay, so that came. Oh, I lost Paul.
I'm here.
Yeah. All right. Oh, there must be a delay. Okay. So what gets me, right, is, okay, so that's an undercover thing. You don't want to get doxxed and everything. But obviously someone found out about this and put a complaint in. And because, it's against Illinois law to do that, you know, because these vehicles are probably registered in Illinois, right? But the key here is I did a little research, and we have in the state, I guess the state of Illinois set up a computer program that every 6 months goes across the registry. This is something you could do with AI, and something probably it is being done with AI. It goes across all the registered vehicles in Illinois, and it cross-references them with the insurance database. And if it finds a vehicle whose VIN and plate number do not match, all right, the insurance database there, that they don't have any match, then it waits 30 days, and after 30 days, it checks it again. If it still doesn't have insurance on it, then it suspends that registration, right? It suspends it. And it flags the VIN number on that car. So now you're driving with a suspended plate. You might not even know it, right? So then you get pulled over, and you're driving with a suspended plate. Oh, whoopee-doo, Class C misdemeanor, right? It's like, and the Class C misdemeanors, they say, oh, that's a misdemeanor. They don't even try those in court. Those go to, that's traffic court. That's non-criminal. You don't get a defense attorney. You don't get any of that stuff. It becomes a civil case. Okay, big deal, right? But okay, we're talking about ICE cars. That's maybe 1, 2, 3, or 4 that are going to be deep undercover like that in the whole state of Illinois. How many illegal aliens are out there driving cars with fake registrations right now?
Probably thousands.
Yeah, well, is he going after them?
No.
No. Send your Secretary of State police. Okay, you got this. You got the vehicle. It's been suspended now for 30 days. It still doesn't have insurance or anything. It's still suspended. Send your Secretary of State police out there. Watch the guy driving around in it. Pull him over. Tow his car. Crush his car. And send him on his merry way. Write him the ticket for driving while suspended plates, and then write him the ticket for not having insurance, which is another, $500 to $2,000. Get him on that, and
right.
Off you go, dude. Crush his car, get it off the road. Is he doing any of this? This is positive.
No.
This is having a positive impact. All right? No. He's out there making these things. And then you're talking about, okay, so what do you have here? You have the supremacy clause in the Constitution, and ICE agents are what? They're federal officers. Okay? They're federal officers. So if they wanted to, they're saying, hey, we're doing this under policy of the federal government, under, in the work I did, it's classified, so they're under a classified operation. So you do a little bit different things, right? Oh, it's a violation of state law. Well, we want this tried in federal court then. And you go to federal court, and it's all got to be classified, and judges got to be classified, and it's a Class C misdemeanor. Paul, Class C misdemeanor. Is Janulius going to send state prosecutors or county prosecutors into the federal court to try a federal agent on a charge that maximum sentence is 30 days in jail, right? Or a $500 fine? I want to put his money where his mouth is. I want to see him do it. I want to see the feds say, no, we're taking this to federal court. I want to see him bring in a state prosecutor to prosecute this guy when he says, I was working under color of law. And how about this? Pull a federal jury on it. How do you think that would work?
It'd be interesting.
It'd be expensive for the state, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yay. So you told us you're going to do something, but back it up. Do it. Do it. He sounds to me like a 2-year-old that says, if you don't give me that ice cream cone, I'm going to hit you. Bring it on, kid. Ow. Ow, that hurt. Oh, I just ate your ice cream cone, kid. Oh, guess what? I'm buying you another ice cream cone. I'm going to eat that too. Oh, and guess what? Your mother's paying for this. She told me to buy you all the ice cream you wanted, but I'm eating it all. It's how can you take the guy seriously? Anyone that knows anything.
I'm telling you, he's pandering to his base, and there's going to be 8, 10, 12 people in this race, and the person that gets, the majority will be in a runoff. Because the mayor's race is a jungle primary. It's not a primary. It's whoever gets the top votes go into a runoff. And so, if you got 8, 10, 12, no one's getting 50% probably. And then Daley wanted that years ago when he changed it from a primary to a general election. It's an open election. So when you got 12 people running and you got 100% of the vote, it's conceivable that some will get 15, 18, 2, 1, 7, and then you're talking a primary then, probably in I don't know, April or May. I don't know. It's crazy.
So if you with 12 people running, if you could draw 20% of the vote, you're basically in the lead.
Correct.
Yeah. So he's pandering to the 20%.
Unless you got a lot of low grabbers, like 3, 4, 5%.
Yeah. Yeah, but
I mean, it's been said that Quigley's in it, Janulius is in it,
Johnson's probably going to run again.
Mendoza's in it, Johnson's in it. That's 4 right there.
Yeah. Well, what scares me is it seems like the people that want to win are the most
dangerous.
They're the most American hating, law enforcement hating. They're pandering to the crowd. And they should know about, it's just words. I just said it. I didn't really mean it. I was just saying to get elected. No, dude, that's you're inciting stuff. All right? When you're in a position of authority, right? This came up to, inciting a riot, right? Inciting a riot. Okay, we'll come back for the second quarter.
You're listening.
Spinettes, comrades, this Chief Guard of the Republic radio show with your co-hosts Mike Tooman and Paul Burvitt every Saturday noon until 2, WRMN, 1410 AM. That's amplitude modulation. We're here. You could stream us live on WRMN1410.com, or you could go to the YouTube Live, which you go to WRMN1410.com, say watch on YouTube, and it brings you right there. That's what I do when I get in the car driving in. I'm like, boop. I got it up.
Shout out to Brendan on his day past his birthday. And Dennis is right. It was Broadway Bank.
Oh, yeah. So that was a big one.
There's a bunch of litigation about that, federal receivership. And Dennis is right. That's what I was talking about. That was an issue during the 2010 senatorial race when Janulius ran against Mark Kirk, the veteran.
Yeah. Yeah, can't say anything bad about my Navy veteran brother, Mark Kirk. Didn't agree with his politics so much. But, okay, so I had a case.
Can I say something to
Sure.
you? I have a very good friend that was in the state's attorney's office, okay? And he was a supervisor. He's still alive, and he's a good friend of ours. And, he does his own income tax, and it's very hard to get the books for your income tax. And he would call Mark Kirk, okay? And within a day or two, the book would arrive at his house. And he was very happy. Well, when Mark Kirk left, the Senate, he was replaced, and the tax year came around, and he called both of the, at the time, sitting senators, and they were both very, I would say, nasty. Okay. And my friend told him that, and the Shortly after that, he got a visit from the FBI.
Nice.
So I like Mark Kirk. I like anybody who does their job. I
Yeah.
don't like anybody who's a panderer, a scammer, a scumbag. And, I'll leave it at that.
So mysteriously, the guy that was investigating the Broadway bank with the FDIC ended up eating his gun. Well,
That's the normal way, what was that guy Foster? How he ended up suicided at the cemetery in his tuxedo or whatever. Yeah. And and I guess there's a guy too, unrelated, in Indiana that killed himself by beating himself with a hammer 37 times somewhere in the back of the head. It happens. You know what I'm saying? It could happen.
Well, this guy, all right. So I got in trouble for it, right? A little bit of trouble because I was actually doing my job investigating it because the guy bought a Glock and 2 boxes of ammunition, and there's only 1 box of ammunition I could find. Where's the other box? I tried to check the shooting gallery, the shoot where he bought the gun at. They had a range, and I'm like trying to check to see. Got video of him shooting, but the video machine had been down or whatever. So I can't see, if you're going to only use the gun for one purpose, one, why buy 2 boxes of ammunition? That's 50 round boxes, not 20 round boxes, 50 round boxes. And why? You don't need target practice if you're just going to put it up to your temple and pull the trigger. All right? So looking all over for this dude and everything, it was really nasty. I went to the FDIC, and they treated it all as a big joke. But when they finally found the guy, he was in Montrose Harbor. So he lived right across Lakeshore Drive from Montrose Harbor. And he went out there, and he shot himself, and he went in. And they listed it as a suicide, right? And I'm like, okay, where's the gun? What do you mean? I says, you can't list it as a suicide if you don't have the gun. How do you know it was that gun that killed him? Where's the gun? And I know it's at the bottom of Montrose Harbor, and they're not going to dig it up, right? So you had to infer it. But technically, by the department directives, it's got to be a homicide. It's got to be listed as a homicide. Because even though the guy had everything laid out as if he was going to do himself in, you don't have all the evidence there. But yeah, so there was a lot of stuff going on about that, and really running a bank into the ground. You got to be, I think we talked about this. What you do is none of these banks actually invest money. The smaller banks, they don't invest your money. They're not like It's a Wonderful Life banks, right? You give them your money, they loan the money out at a percentage to everyone in the community, so everyone can buy a house and everything, and they're paying you off a percentage. They're paying you off the mortgage, so you could pay your employees, you could pay your overhead, and then you give interest to the people that deposit your money in your bank, right? They go out, they take everyone's money, and they buy federal bonds. And now they're paying you 1% interest, and they're getting 9% interest from the federal bond, right? And so they're making 8% interest off all that money. They're not loaning it out to anyone. They're just making the interest, and they're paying their overhead, and they're paying their, quote, bankers or whatever. And it's like, it's a big joke, right? Well, if you're spending more money than that 9% that you're keeping, right, then there's no thing. People start pulling their money out, and you don't have the capital to back it because the bonds aren't worth it anymore because they're going down in value. It was just a big joke with that. It's mismanagement. It's like people, I got this financial degree or whatever, and they really don't understand. But but now we get back to Mayor Johnston out there, talking about federal agents too, and making sure that the police, our police, the Chicago police, right, are keeping an eye on them to make sure that they don't do anything wrong. So they're under the scrutiny of the Chicago police, cameras, all the citizens, everything else. But if a citizen comes up and punches a federal agent in front of a Chicago police officer, what do you think Chicago police officers instructed to do?
They should arrest him.
They should, but they don't. They over there at 39th and Kedzie. The lady's ramming them and everything, and the Chicago police are running away. Told back off. Oh, the guy said, oh, well, that's not what I meant. No, it came up verbatim. You told them to get out of there when she's committing a crime against federal agents in front of your guys. All right? So again, let's say I'm a federal agent. I get punched in the head by someone. I grab him, throw him to the ground, put him in handcuffs, and the Chicago police officer comes up and says, that's a battery, sir. I'm going to have to arrest you for that. And he's got 40 of his guys with him for whatever reason. I've only got one guy, and they actually take me into custody, right? And they charge me with battery on the citizen while they ignored the battery on me. So where do you think we're going to take this to? We're going to take it to federal court again. So is the city going to send the corporate counsel in there? Is the state's attorney going to go in there on a misdemeanor charge? A misdemeanor charge. Are they going to go in there and try me in the federal court?
They go to the list of donors, and then they find a firm, and then they approach the firm, and either the firm does it pro bono or at a reduced rate, and they get them hired as a special prosecutor.
I'm sorry.
And then they go in.
And
then they do it.
Who hires the special prosecutor?
It's a petition that would be brought before the court.
So the federal court could say no.
Well, they can get them appointed in state court.
All right.
And then they could send them to federal court.
How expensive would that be?
Again, it's usually from the list of law firm donors that are amenable to this kind of activity, or, somebody they owe a favor to, or, somebody who's got impeccable credentials, right?
So
that's how we got the current state's attorney. There was that whole issue, with a special prosecutor and the past state's attorney, and, people filing briefs and, going forward. And then, so I mean, that's what they do. There's a whole idea that special prosecutors aren't really good in some ways. Sometimes they are. I'm coming from a perspective where we were by nature a special prosecutor, and we were called in on issues. That's how I got involved in some of the Burge cases. And then there were special prosecutors, but they didn't want them doing all the cases because there was conflicts of interest and things like that. So you never know. And then, my whole career with the Attorney General's office, we would, if somebody attacked the state's attorney or a state's attorney was involved in something, we would have to go and do it in the other counties. And so, I know how special prosecutors work, and they usually, the kind we're talking about, have unlimited budgets. And,
so they're doing it pro bono, but all of a sudden the state gives them an unlimited budget.
Right.
So then they're calling in their special, what do you call it?
They hire ex-FBI agents, they send 4 of them out at a time. They're racking up the hours and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's not pro bono. It's another way to steal money from the It's another way to steal money from the public. I mean, you hire prosecutors, hire competent prosecutors.
I used to joke that if you give me enough money, I could get a guy convicted of assassinating Lincoln. I mean, you give me enough money, I'll find somebody. Some times and space shifter, I'll have them, and but that's how things go.
Again, these guys here's the thing, they're talking big. Again, bring it. bring it. You remember, here's one of the things in my experience. You remember Dick Devine?
Yeah.
He was state's attorney. So I had a case, all right, where Dick Devine was getting telephone harassed by a guy, all right? And the guy had a conviction because the first telephone harassment is a ordinance violation. It's a ticket, right? He was convicted of the ticket. The second one is a misdemeanor. Oh, he's convicted of the misdemeanor, right? And the third one can be a felony. So I got the 2 convictions on this guy. I got the guy to make an admission and everything, right? And I have him there, and I call felony review, and I fax him all the paperwork, right? Yep, there's all your paperwork. And the guy at felony review practically laughed at me. He says, "This is telephone harassment. Are you kidding me? We're not giving you a felony." I says, "That's fine. What's your name?" He gave me the name, the time he denied it, and I go, "Okay, I'm releasing the guy without charging. Not enough for a felony, not enough for a misdemeanor." You know who the victim was? Dick Devine. The next day, I got this guy calling me, and I'm like, "No, you rejected it. Your name's on it. Not enough. I can't lock him up again. You already told me not enough. It's already in my supplementary report. I have no new evidence. You go out and get him. And when he goes to court, your name's going to be on there as rejecting felony charges." I can't even get a cut and dry felony approved in Cook County. Cut and dry because they didn't think it's enough.
I have my own Divine story. Okay. So years ago, there used to be, your local criminal, he used to dumpster dive for ID information. And he had a very sophisticated, spiral bound notebook with numbers and then catalogs where he would show the folks in the neighborhood, "Do you want any of this stuff? You could get it for, like $5. I'm going to order it." And so he had dumpster dived a relative of Dick Devine. All right. And it was I believe it was American Express, as I recall. And they took him for, over the felony amount at the time, which was $300 something, And this dumpster diver, I got him arrested, and, I indicted him and everything. And we were going to court. Now, the deal is, I had to watch out that I didn't get an excessive sentence because it would look like the state's attorney was using his office unnecessarily. Okay. So I came up with a deal with the defense attorney. I believe it was a public defender even, where the individual was going to pay the money back to American Express. And they were going to get, the maximum probation and fines, which from a financial crimes point of view is kind of what you want. Okay. So I called up American Express and I said, I need your people to come to court.
Oh, good luck.
And they told me they're not coming.
Nope.
And I said, well, you have to come. They said, no, this happened 2 years ago. If we get this check, we got to amend our corporate tax returns. It's going to cost millions and millions of dollars, and we don't want the money. I said, well, you don't understand. You're going to take the money. I don't care if you wipe your keister with it. I don't care if you set it on fire, but I'm getting it. It's made out to you, and I'm formally transferring the money over to you. So the money came in. It was a money order. I had to put it on the record that Mo paid this much money and what it was, and that we were going to be, as an officer of the court, I was forwarding it to the victim, the third party victim, which was American Express or whatever. And then, the person got their sentence and they completed it. So Divine's relative got their satisfaction. The state got its satisfaction. The court got its satisfaction. And the defendant got its satisfaction.
Except American Express.
To my knowledge, American Express has never, cashed that check.
Yeah. So
So, it's kind of ridiculous.
it sounds
whatever
ridiculous.
people want.
It sounds ridiculous, but it kind of ties in here, Paul. Like I'm saying, all right. So American Express, all right, they're the victim. Once like if you're a victim of an insurance and your insurance covers it, right? Someone slams
Right.
into your car, the insurance covers it, and somehow you're able to prove that the person intentionally did that damage because they had a bad, like a bad relationship, right? So it was intentional. Right. It wasn't a traffic accident. It was intentional damage, right? So then you lock up the guy for criminal damage, right? And now you're telling the insurance company it's no longer that person's car who suffered the damage, right? It's the insurance company, all right? Now they're the victim, right? And like you said, all right, so American Express, it's like 2 years ago, it's not before the end of the fiscal year or whatever, and they said, listen, they look at our tax records have to be immaculate. We're American Express. They have to be immaculate. We have accountants, tax accountants. We have tax lawyers that go over this stuff. It's to the penny. It's documented. Everything's good. All the books are good. You're throwing a couple $100, and we're going to have to amend for that. The IRS isn't going to forgive us. We're going to have to amend because we took that money in because we got to be above and beyond. So we're not, we don't want to do it anymore. We don't want to be the victims there, all right? Because it would cost us more than we received back, right? It would cost us more. So here's the thing with me, right? Oh, I made a little political points for myself, not for the state. Oh, my people think something. I didn't do anything better for the state. But if I actually took one of these guys to court, right? Like I said, have your Secretary of State police pull over the federal agent. He's got the wrong plates on it. Okay. Write him his ticket. Go to court. He calls supremacy on it. His bosses his bosses and the lawyers in there know about supremacy. And they're like, yeah, he's acting under color of law. And they bring it into a federal court. And now Julius, right, Secretary of State police got to provide the Attorney General, the state's attorney, right, in there to go prosecute it in federal court. Right.
See, I would take a different tact, okay? And I'll tell you my rationale behind this. If I were these guys, the ones that we're saying that are being written up for having the change plates.
Well, I don't think they've done it yet. I think he's just threatened.
I'd arrest the guy writing me the ticket. And I'll tell you why.
Obstruction.
That's correct. And I think I told you this. I think I told you this a long time ago. When I was a state's attorney, we got a call about an issue that was going on at that child
advocacy center.
Well, it's across from the courthouse. It was
on Damon.
What is it?
It's on Damon and Roosevelt.
It's on Ogden, but it's like the people that look into child abuse.
Oh,
or
DCFS.
Yeah. So I got a call about something going on at DCFS, and I said to them, "Do you have a lot?" And they said, "Yeah." So I go in there, and I had my felony review placard on. Okay, and I put it in the front of the car, and I went in, and I was in for quite a while. All right. And that agents, that the pirates up there, the Lincoln Towing Pirates,
Yeah.
I had my Thunderbird, okay, the silver one, and they grabbed my car. So at first I walk out and I'm thinking, oh my God, my car's stolen, and then I realized they towed it. So I go inside and I go, who tows from your lot? And they said Lincoln Towing, So I said, could somebody take me up there? All right. So I go up there, and I said, you guys towed my car. And they go, yeah. we got it. I go, well, you can't. I said, it's official business. And they said, well, you got to pay us. I said, no, I don't think I'm paying you. And they said, yeah. So then I got on the phone and I called the head of felony review. And I said, hey, I'm working and, check it out. Call the boss. I had to go to DCFS and these guys from Lincoln Towing grabbed my car. And they go, okay, what do you want to do? I said, well, I'm calling. I think that's what, Area 5 it was back then up there. It was
in the 10th district. That's Area 4,
Central, right? Was that Area 5?
No, it would have been where Lincoln Towing is. It was on Ogden.
The lot was where Grand and Central was.
Yeah, all right, Grand and Central. That's the city lot.
Yeah, no. They were Lincoln. I called the
Area
police
5. Yeah.
I called the Area 5 guys, right? And I said, hey, the district that's up there. I said, hey, I'm a state's attorney. These guys grabbed my car. I said, I want them arrested. Okay. And I said, I called felony review. I talked to Darren. I said, he's all ready. We're okay. So
all right. We'll continue this story when we come back from the break to find out. That's comrades. We're back for the second half. Chief Guard of the Republic radio show with your co-host Mike Tuman, Paul Burvitt, every Saturday noon until 2, WRMN 1410 AM, WRMN1410.com. Listen live for the streaming or watch us on YouTube. YouTube channel, WRMN 1410's YouTube channel. Subscribe there. Watch our shows. Then we upload them onto the Chief Guard of the Republic YouTube channel, minus the commercials. I tried to cut it real well. All right, so Paul, let's find out what happened to your car as we had that cliffhanger, so to speak.
So I go in there and I say to them, I go, you got to give me the car back. And they say, yeah, we want like $400. I said, no, I don't think you understand something. I said, I was on duty. I was there as an invitee. I said, you had no business taking my car. I go, you're under arrest if you don't give me the car back. And they said, no, we don't care. So then immediately a sergeant and 5 patrol cars show up. Okay. And they go, what's going on? And I tell them, I go, false felony review. I'm working. I want these people arrested. So he goes in there. He talks to them. He goes, you have a placard on the car? I said, yeah, it's at the windshield. He goes over there. The placard says, felony review, Cook County State's Attorney. He goes in there and he tells them, either you give him the car back or we're arresting you. So they gave me the car back and he goes, this is the first time this has ever happened. He goes, usually they make us pay something or something, but he goes, just take it and go. So that's what it was. But yeah, people do whatever they want and they think they can get away with stuff, Yeah,
I had the same case with Iron Towing up in Bridgeport. They, McKinley Park, a guy had just bought a building in back of the yards and they towed his car. And I went over there and it was at night. I was auto theft on the midnights. And the guy's like, where's my car? I own this building, everything. And I go over there and they got their, rinky-dink guy that's guarding the lot or everything, And I says, hey, you got to give this car back. And he's like, no. I says, well, call your boss. He says, I'm not calling my boss. I says, fine, you're under arrest. I put him in handcuffs and he started crying. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm dead serious here. And I'm going to go through that lot. And you can tell your boss I'm going through the lot and I'm running every single VIN there. And every VIN that I find that's iffy, you're getting charged with also. Don't worry, your bosses will provide a lawyer, but I don't even have to call felony review for approval on this one. I'm an auto tech. I just charge you with auto theft, right? Boom, 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 boom. Possession of stolen motor vehicle. Boom, 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 boom. How many charges you want? And he started crying and called his boss, and his boss told him give the car back. It was that simple. But until the threat of handcuffs was on him, honestly, until the threat of handcuffs was on him, it didn't get serious because this is dealing with civilian organizations that think they have some sort of authority, that are trying to use that authority against the actual authority. The people that are sworn in have the authority given by the state, all right? Given by the state to do the work of the state, right? It's a common thing in the law enforcement community when you go into like a school, the Chicago public schools. It's hilarious, Oh, you got to leave your guns in the car. No, I don't. Well, we're going to call our security. Oh, good luck with that. Come on, Mr. Security, lay hands on me. See where you go. No, I'm not going to lock up my gun. I'm not going to lock up my gun in your special thing. For the courts, I do, right? Because there's a Chicago police officer there watching them. Or there's a Cook County sheriff watching them. There's not some random security dude, right? But now we're getting into like a civil war between law enforcement, right? So you got federal law enforcement.
Well, no, the politicians are fulminating that.
They're fulminating that, and they're using us as their private armies. They won't go toe to toe. Let's bring Holman in to fight Junulius, right? Let's have a fight. See who wins. Whoever wins, that's what we got to do. You know, something like that. But they won't do that. It's the politics. It's dragging on. It's playing for things. So just like you're saying about, we had you mentioned the littlest hobo, and that brought a story to my mind. And this has to do with ICE. Back then, I think we were still customs, and not immigrations and custom enforcement. It was
immigration,
Lemigre, right? So this kid from Mexico rides the rails all the way up into Chicago, right? The little hobo kid. I think it was like 13 years old, and he's freezing. He's starving, right? And they lock him up for trespass, and he gets sent to Area 3, right? Doesn't speak any English. Get an interpreter there, right? Juvenile charge, trespass. He's from Mexico, right? He's legal alien. He's on this train. Got the whole story out of him. And they go, oh, what will we do? We should call immigration to send him back. Because I says, I ain't calling. I said, Sergeant, you call him. I can't call him. I'm sure you're aware of Chicago's policy on this, right? We can't do that. Go ahead, Sergeant. You do it, or give me a written order with your name on it to do it. Then I'll do it. All right? What will we do? What will we do? I says, the only thing we can do, we call DCFS. Guess what DCFS did?
They called immigration.
That's right, they did. I said, see, problem solved. They had, at that time, you know, there wasn't a Governor Pritzker with sanctuary state, right? Now what would you do in that situation? 13-year-old, maybe he's got parents back in Mexico. Maybe he's been reported missing in Mexico. Maybe he's been kidnapped and dragged up here and left in Chicago for no reason, right? Can we call immigration? No. Right? Can DCFS call immigration? No. So the kid's stuck in the DCFS system, not speaking English, you know, and you don't want to be in Chicago's DCFS system. And who's helping him out? The ones that could do it were the feds. Because we're not going to get a missing person out of Mexico. So, you know, it's all messed up there, right?
Yeah, it's all relative.
You know, but to have...
This is, I could tell you, I'm going to give you a little bit behind the scenes of baseball stuff, okay? So, again, in both jobs, I dealt with non-traditional law enforcement, I would do cases for the FBI. I would do cases for inspector general's offices in the county and the state, and I became very close to a friend of mine was the deputy inspector. He's actually a religious guy now downstate, but the inspector general in Cook County, and they would come to me because they felt that I would give them a fair shake and things like that. And when they would, which ended up being the reason in one way why I left Cook County, I had been investigating at the time the president, which was several presidents ago, relative, and what happened was these guys got a foul of the county, and they were inspector generals. It's an office, but it's not a police office. So it's an enforcement office, though. So they were also special deputy sheriffs, so they could be armed. Okay. And they run afoul of somebody in the office or whatever. and the sheriff or whatever, and they took their certification away. So if you're in the county, okay, and you're not a police agency technically yourself, and the other county agency, which has an elected official, doesn't want to renew your credentials, what do you do?
Well, do you need your credentials to work?
It's best if you have them
For your own safety, right?
Huh?
For your own safety.
And you can't arrest anybody. So if now we're talking Cook County, what's the alternative? What do you do?
Well, you'd have to call in the Cook County Sheriff's Police to make the arrest for you.
But they won't help you.
Well, you got to go out. You could call, if it's a state charge, you call the state police or Chicago
No,
if it's in Chicago.
You become a forest preserve cop.
I tried that.
It's the only agency that's a police agency that's under the control of the Cook County Board President.
Really?
And that's what they did. So they went from special deputy sheriffs to forest preserve police and also inspector generals. Nice.
Well, there's always one,
there's a workaround everything.
There's self-roll, there's city rolls. Like cities have, what was the Forest View? They were well known for their park district police because they had about 1,000 of them. Part-time park district police, fully certified by the state to carry weapons 7 and 24. But, no real police experience or training. I guess they pay them to go to the whatever certification they needed to get state sworn as peace officers. And that's about it, They really didn't do anything, but it was just an end run for them to be able to carry weapons across the state. So, what I don't like here, and I've had my run-ins with the FBI, right? But the FBI a couple years back was very political. It's like they're doing political arrests and they're ignoring the other stuff, right? Like there's stuff on the books and everything that are violent, heinous things, and instead they're going after their political enemies. And I was saying here, when our current president first got in, I was hoping that the first thing he would do, the absolute first thing he would do, is disband the entire FBI and bring it back differently. Like almost disband all the law enforcement and then bring them back differently. And he had 4 years to make a plan for that, which I kind of would have been doing because I could be a vengeful guy sometimes. If I knew that as soon as I was being attacked after I left office, right, I knew I was going to run in another 4 years, I would have such a plan that like the first day I came in, it would be absolutely brutal, but it would be ready to go. Like you said, okay, so couple in the recent past, a couple television series, because everyone likes a good crime drama, right? But instead of having FBI agents, I've seen a lot of forest preserve agents, forest preserve police, animal police, and everything like that. And they got all these, there's crimes going because who doesn't like a forest ranger, right? I mean,
Smokey the Bear.
Smokey the Bear. No, you're talking Yogi Bear. And Yogi Bear got along.
Smokey the Bear, forest fire guys.
Yeah, but he likes forest rangers.
Right.
Yeah, but who doesn't like them? Nobody. No, everyone likes them, right?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
They're wearing the Smokey the Bear hat, Ranger Smith, right? Yogi, Ranger Smith was always going after Yogi, but Yogi loved Ranger Smith. They came to Ranger Smith when they needed help. So that seems like to be the last good guys in law enforcement now. There are no more good guys in law enforcement except for the forest rangers. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
The other ones, I think that they're law enforcement, but they're technically not. I think in New York, the ASPCA has their own police.
Yeah.
Animal cops.
The animal cops, yeah. Well, still,
Who wouldn't want them?
yeah.
They're protecting the downtrodden, abused animals,
Oh my. Okay.
Everybody could get behind that. You'd have to be Snidely Whiplash not to be behind that.
Yeah. Well, let's not talk about those evil Canadians up north.
Right.
Next, we'll be turning the Royal Canadian Mounted Police against us. Yeah.
Oh, I like the Mounties.
The Mounties, yeah. What's interesting is when I was on the job, I came on and we're carrying the 38 special round, right? 158 grains, all lead, semi-water cutter, hollow point. And you know what that round is famous for, Paul?
The FBI round?
Well, and the Chicago round and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police round.
Right.
Now, the New York was using Widowmakers. So they were using 38 special in soft tip, round nose lead, right?
Right.
But Chicago, the FBI, and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police carried the 158 grain, all lead, semi-water, wad cutter, hollow point, 38 special plus P. It had the highest actual one-stop shot, one-shot stop, all right? The highest actual, 9mm, 45, 44, the 38 special, that round had the highest, and they said it wasn't necessarily because the power of the round or whatever, but shot placement.
Because it expanded.
Yeah, it expands pretty consistently, 61 caliber, but okay, so that's one thing that even a foreign government, the FBI, and the locals in Chicago could agree upon, at least at 38. But I really, no one holds them accountable, right? When you go and you're doing a political, let's call it just a political witch hunt, right, trial, and you go after it and you take this thing all to court, and it's a big circus mess, right? It's a big circus mess, but you're not necessarily a prosecutor, you're a politician. Or you're a prosecutor who listens to the politicians, who you aspire to be higher, and you have these political overlords, and you have no self-respect for yourself, right? You're like a beaten woman. You do whatever they want, right? And you go and you put on this whole big trial, and you are trying as hard as you can to get a conviction, which may mean that you're not exactly following the rules of discovery, right? You're hiding stuff, you're twisting stuff, everything. You're not, and then all of a sudden it blows up in your face, and at the end you lose the case, right? Who paid for it?
The public.
Yeah, the taxpayers. So when it comes out, like I'm talking about the guy up in Kenosha, right? They went to the wall on this guy, right? Everything
You
they
mean
had.
the young kid?
Yeah, the young kid. And then it turned out that they messed up with the video. They edited the video, which they shouldn't have done because they're tampering with evidence. And they hadn't showed the jury the whole video, and then the jury was shown the entire video, finally, right? At the end of the trial. And what did the jury do? Not guilty.
Not guilty.
And this guy dragged that out the whole time, and he knew it would be a not guilty, and he did everything he could to get it guilty because he was playing a political game. Should have came out of that guy's pocket.
I told you I was watching the entire trial, and I sent an email to the state's attorney, and I explained to him who I was, and I explained to him my background, and I said, please tell me that you have more evidence, because this was while their case in chief was going on. I go, your case sounds like the defense. I go, please tell me you have some more evidence. He never got back to me. I mean, their own case. showed the guy was innocent.
So, okay, the only guy that I saw take a hit for this, right, was when they had the Duke case, right? The Duke lacrosse players, they trumped up the charges on them, and then that all came out, right? That I guess the prosecutor actually supported perjury, right?
Suborn, yeah.
And he was actually tried for that.
Right.
And he went to prison. And he was disbarred. That doesn't happen much, does it?
No.
But it was a big political thing, and it was going to come and snap back on his political overlords, so they fed him to the dogs, right? They're like, sacrifice him. People forget about that stuff. They have really short memories, And like you said, Giannoulias, all you got to say is you're gonna run Chicago like you ran Broadway Bank. People don't know what Broadway Bank is. You'd have to do whole news stories explaining to people. Yeah, he ran a bank into the ground. He lost other people's money, and it had to be covered by the feds. Again, your tax dollars. And look, he hasn't lost a penny. Look, he's still rich. He's still got a job. He's still going to have pension. He's got a good life. But a lot of, the feds bailed him out personally. It's just the hubris of the people. But when it comes to turning people using the mob, turning people against law enforcement, what do you want to do? You want to defund the police? That hasn't worked well, has it? You don't hear anyone saying defund the police anymore. They do it quietly. Where am I going to get this money to buy the votes in that ward over there? Where am I going to get the money? Well, I'm going to put in some silly program there. Where am I going to get that money? Well, we'll just take it from the police budget. We won't hire those police. We'll say it's a police program. Like what, Paul? The all of a sudden you got these shootings, and what do we have? We have the gun violence task force. Wait, I thought that was the police. Oh no, we got one that isn't the police.
I just saw with the past weekend shooting, they're really pushing that. They're going to put more money in that.
More money, yeah, yay! That they could hire police officers.
Right.
Right? Or, the police ain't got the proper training. Well, more money where they give the police the proper training. What proper training do they need? What is the proper training? I've been through some of that police training, and it's a joke. I'm like, really? The one where the FBI agent was there saying about how everyone in the Middle East, they're just like us. You could talk to them and everything. And I had to raise my hand and said, okay, which one of us has interrogated a tier 0 terrorist in this room? Oh, I'm the only one with my hand raised. Like, what do you know, dude? And this is the people that they're sending to train us, right? I'm like, okay, whatever. Training is good for the police. They should have it. They should have as much training as you get them, as much quality training as you could give them. And that's where money should be spent, on training actual police officers in law enforcement issues, right? Not in social issues, social welfare issues, training them to be a psychologist or psychiatrist no, there is some good training there. The crisis intervention team training on the police department, very law enforcement specific, didn't teach us how to be psychiatrists or psychologists. Crisis intervention team training, best training ever, absolutely the best. Every copper should go through it. Day 1 of the academy. And last day of the academy, they should go through it again. Not that they're social workers, but when we get back, the last quarter of the Chief Guard of the Republic radio show. The Mix Banettes, comrades, we're back with the Chief Guard of the Republic radio show. Co-hosts Mike Tooman and Paul Burvid every Saturday, noon until 2 on WRMN 1410. WRMN 1410 AM. You could also see us WRMN1410.com, and you could hit the stream live, or you could hit the button that says watch on YouTube. It'll bring you to YouTube's WRMN 1410's channel, which you should subscribe to. It's got a lot of good stuff there. And I don't know, the camera here froze on me. Let me see. Zoom 1 and camera 1. Oh, no, this Zoom 1. Zoom 1 and camera 1. There we go. No, it's still that's not me. That's Dean there. So I'm going to wait. Zoom 1 solo. Scroll here. Taking over here. Picture in picture. Where's the cam? Webcam solo. Solo zoom. Camera 2. Well, maybe it's Zoom 1 and camera 2. Nope, that's me over there. You know what? I'm going to go back over there. So let me see. I'll put back up to 3. Take the. All right, Paul. Carry on for me, Paul.
Remember, Dennis, only you can prevent forest fire.
All right. It's still. I'm still kind of locked in there. All right, so you're going to see Dean for a while. You won't see me for a while. I'll go back to number 1 and try to figure this out.
Yeah, you know, your chair is blank now. Go back and sit in it. You could be seen now.
Okay.
There you go. Hi.
Yeah. For some reason, it only likes me sitting in this chair. So let me put up. Did I put up 3? Put up 3. All right. Yeah. Oh, that's loud. All right. So yeah, I'm not technically that great at this stuff here, but I'm getting better. But it really likes me sitting in this chair. So now I'm going to go into a little thing. It has to do with law enforcement again, and good guys and bad guys. And I wish it would be more good guys. But last night at the Wicker Park Street Fest, which was between Damon and Ashland on Milwaukee and Chicago, Wicker Park, my daughter set up her ultimate combat gauntlet wrestling show. So she had her ring set up in the Walgreens parking lot there, and they were doing a free wrestling show for the people going back and forth, and it was really great. About 200 people came to watch this. Huge show, really happy, great time. All right, these kids, some of them came out of the Chicago style wrestling. Some other ones came from some other wrestling things, but she's given them a lot more ring time than they've ever seen before. But they have this one tag team. Sometimes they fight as individuals, but usually they're a tag team. They call themselves By the Book. And one guy is like a regular police officer, and the other guy is a knockoff from the guy that wears shorts in Reno 911, all right? And so you think, okay, these are law enforcement guys. They're supposed to be the good guys, right? They got them as the heels. In wrestling, you have baby faces. Baby faces are the good guys, right? The ones that everyone wants to win. And the heels are the bad guys. These guys do a real good job of the heels, but they're always wondering why I'm always cheering them on, because I'm for those guys. I'm like, they call By the Book. I'm like, By the Book, they're my favorite guys. I'm like, yeah, I like these guys. And one guy goes, well, you should manage them. Says, that might be an idea. That might be an idea if they wanted that to happen. But normally I'm just doing security and working the door. But I walked up and down before the wrestling show started. I walked up and down Milwaukee Avenue there, right? I didn't see one police officer. There were thousands of people there. There wasn't one police officer. There was security, private security. None of them were armed, right? So, of course, this isn't the type of street fest that's going to cause a lot of problems. Kind of a hipster thing going on, right? But again, wouldn't it be nice to see some police security, like officer friendly? What was it? I've told this story before where, here is my trick to getting the guns off the street. Here's my little trick. All right, it's infallible. It actually worked pretty well. And the people that'll be doing it will have nothing to do with the police. They don't even like the police. I mean, when they went on their strike, we were supporting them. But when we were marching, because we couldn't go on strike, we were still working. When we were marching and demonstrating, they were totally against us. And I'm like, well, that didn't work out well. So here's something they could do. Back in the old Cold War days between the Soviet Union, and Warsaw Pact, and NATO, Germany was still divided. So in East Germany, they wanted to know how many people watched West German television, because it was a broadcast. It wasn't over cable, right? You didn't have to sneak a cable across the border. Those waves just went right across the border naturally. You get yourself a nice amplified antenna, you can pick most anything up, right? So they told the kids their homework project, seemed like a pretty innocent homework project, was to draw a picture of the clock that they saw on the evening news when their parents watched the news. So the kids that drew the 24-hour clock, parents were watching communist television. The kids that drew the 12-hour clock were watching Western television. West German television. So they had the kids snitch on their parents without even doing it, without even knowing it. What a great operation. What a great communist. Looking at you, body cam, flock camera. Whoa! Way before all that stuff, they had it down. That was great. So here's what you do: you offer candy bars or ice cream or something to these kids if they bring their parents' guns to school and turn them in. Because they don't tell their parents what they're doing in school. Their parents don't care. What did you do in school today, Timmy? Did you learn to read? Nope, still haven't learned to read. Congratulations. Neither did I. It's like, that wouldn't work out, would it, Paul?
They might try that. You just gave them an idea.
I mean, you can have 1,000 guns turned in one day. Then what are the parents going to say? What are you teaching our kids? Well, we're teaching them that guns are violent. And you don't have an FO. Hey, if that gun was registered and you had an FOID, please come and get it. We'll give it back to you. But we're going to charge you for keeping it in a place where a kid could get it. Isn't that a felony now?
It's actually a state and federal crime.
To leave a gun where a kid could get it.
It's always been since the Handgun Protection Act. It's a federal crime to keep a gun unsecured where a child could get at it.
So if the child brings it in and the parent gets upset and beefs about it, what do?
Lock them up.
Lock them up. So are they going to come and beef about it? Well, now you got to educate them. You got to put this stuff out there. Hey, dude, you better not come into school to try to get your gun back, because if your kid was able to get it, that's prima facie evidence. We're going to charge you with a felony. And I would call that anti-gun. Wouldn't you call that anti-gun violence, Paul?
Yeah, it would be.
And what did it cost you? CPS.
Nothing.
Go out of your way and do it. Do it. Tell these little kids to bring the guns into school and turn them in. Just bunch of 8-year-olds.
3 of them will get shot on the way to school while they were playing cops and robbers or cowboys and Indians.
Yeah, that isn't a good thing, is it? I'm sorry, I'm laughing at that. Because you know why it's so funny? Because it absolutely would happen. It absolutely would happen. Now, this is sarcasm. All right? This is sarcasm. Now, if you asked the kids, you said, everyone gets an extra hour of recess, or I brought this cake to school today. All you have to do is write down on the sheet of paper where your mama or daddy keeps their gun. Now, the kid gives you this information. You turn it over. They're never going to turn it over to police. You turn it over to police. Now, 8-year-olds don't lie. You know, they're not supposed to or whatever. It's a simple thing. Why should they lie? Maybe they say, my parents don't have a gun. You still got a piece of cake, right? But now you got the kid saying, it's under his bed. Can you get at it? You know, another question. Can you get, oh, sure, whenever I want. Have you ever played with it? Yes, or whatever. Who knows? But now you go and get a search warrant. But who's going to do all the paperwork for the search warrants?
These guys that have the judge right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, how do you don't have an officer?
The affiant further says not. The affiant was a 7-year-old Dexter McGillicuddy from the School of Hard Knocks. And this is his statement, Your Honor. Let me see Dexter. Dexter, is all this true? Yeah. Is your parents' house? Yeah. Okay. Bingo. But where you're going to get the problem is when they say they'll be staying by anti-flow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's some problems there. But you know what they don't have in the schools anymore, right? Is officer-friendly programs. Is they don't have, you know, they're trying to kick out the school, what they call, not service officers, but the school, I guess service officers, the officers in the school that try to take care of
resource
officers. And I don't even think those are federally, I think those are state mandated, you know. But that's another that's another way that Chicago fudges the numbers, all right? So if there's a mandatory like state funding for resource officers, like you have to have so many resource officers, whenever you mandate something like that, you should always staff it and fund it, right? You can't make a mandate, and you can't mandate that everyone should have health insurance because some people can't afford it. Oh, wait, you can't do that. I guess it's Supreme Court because it's called a tax. Even though if you don't earn any money and you still have to have this health care, then you're basically paying a tax on zero income. So I don't think Roberts thought about that, did you?
No.
What if insurance costs you $10,000 a year and you only earn $9,000 a year? Well, you're taxing him more than he's earning. That's called slavery. Didn't think they, or, you know, the other thing was they didn't have good lawyers arguing at that because I just thought that up off the top of my head. Well, then we give it to them for free. Wait a second. Hold on. Then it's not a tax. If you're giving it to them for free, it's not a tax anymore. You can't give a person free. You know, what the movie Pixels, right? Just a crazy movie, but one character, they say, what do you want to play this video game? And he says, I don't want to have to pay taxes for the rest of my life. Okay. How can you forgive him that? You know, one person. I know they do it with corporations and everything. All right, so going back to that, so they fudge the numbers, they pull the police out of the school, they put them on the street because they don't want to hire more police. So they just say, you know, they put more police officers on the street, but now they're not in the schools and they're not interacting with kids. There's no respect for that or anything. Kids ain't even learning about the police. There's no officer-friendly program. The kids are being told that the police are the boogeyman, that the police are the problem, that the police will kill you. The ghetto thing is, if you don't stop doing that, I'm going to have the police lock you up. And they're telling that to a 3-year-old, and 3-year-old believes them. Now the 3-year-old's terrified of the police. You know, it's crazy how first you make the people fear the local law enforcement. Then you use the local law enforcement to keep the federal law enforcement at bay so that you can still have your mob to keep the people in fear. But the people are also fear of your local law enforcement. It's crazy, evil. It's evil logic. No decent human being would ever do it. And so when you hear someone, let's defund the police, they're not a decent human being. When you hear someone saying, let's make sure that the federal agents can't do their job because these are federal laws that were passed that need to be enforced. If you don't, again, what do we say, Paul? If you don't like the law and you're a congressman,
to change it.
Introduce a bill to rescind that law or to change that law, amend that law. All right? Introduce a bill. See if it gets passed. Because what are we, a democracy? You know what a democracy is not, Paul? It's not a Libram veto. That destroyed the Polish democracy. That's where one congressman could say, I object, I veto, and the law doesn't pass, right? So we're a democracy. So it's like 51% to pass that law, unless it's something, you need 60% to stop the filibuster. But then once you stop the filibuster, you only need 51%, right? So,
right.
But we went on how the filibuster is a joke anyways. It's not a nuclear option. It's parliamentary procedure to get by that. It's very easy to do. They won't do it because it's been dubbed. The thing passed the law, right? But now you're one person in Chicago or your group of people, politicians, and you're like, we don't like that law that's been passed by the rest of the nation, so we're not going to abide by it. Well, typical ghetto line, only obey the laws that apply to you, right? Those don't apply to us, we're not going to obey them. Okay, well, again, at least put your money where your mouth is and introduce a bill. Put your name on the bill that says defund ICE, eliminate ICE. Put your name on that bill, push it in front of Congress. Get a vote on it. Get a vote on it. Go around, get your other congressmen to vote with you. Tell them why you need to vote with you. Go out on the press junkets and say, hey, this is why we need to pass this. We need to amend this. No, they don't do that. They ain't got the guts to do that. They don't have the ability. They don't have the brains. They don't have the motivation. They don't have the charge. They don't have the hustle in them to get that bill passed. They just whine about the bill thing that's already on the books. You don't like the laws on the books? That's why we have a constitution. That's why laws can be changed. All right? If this law has been being enforced, Paul, for 100 years, right? It's been being enforced for 100 years. Suddenly, some activist judge puts an injunction on it. I'm sorry. Why didn't this come up 99 years ago? You're the first one that saw it? No, I just don't like it. But is it constitutional? I don't know. I don't like it. If I don't like it, then it's unconstitutional. No, that's not it, right? And then it slow walks through the appellate process. Then they slow walk it. It gets up to Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court goes, no, perfectly constitutional. Now, what did they do? Again, what did they do with that activist judge? Okay, now you have to pay for the 2 years that this stuff wasn't, for all the crimes committed by these people for 2 years. That's on you, dude. Personally on you. Nope, nothing happens to them. That's where we get it going. And again, we should pass a law there too. Someone should get in there. You're tired of the activist judge? Pass a law. Put it in the books. Right? Pass it,
Right.
have the president sign it, and then have it slow walk through the Supreme Court. Right? Have one activist say, oh, no, I throw an injunction on that law, and then have it walk up to the Supreme Court. And then just pass the same law over and over and over again. Get rid of the activist judges. But who
That'd
knows?
be a good step.
Yeah, I mean, you have to take your person. You take that job. You have to take your personal beliefs out of it. You are there because you are a judicial expert. We are requiring you to be fair. to be fair, to listen to all sides without bias. All right? That's why you make the big bucks, because you're able to tell yourself, yes, I can do this. Okay, I personally do not like abortion. All right? I do not like it. But if I was a judge, I would have to go by what the law said. The law only says that the feds don't have to pay for it and the states make their own laws. Well, in Illinois, it's legal currently under those laws. As a judge, because it's currently legal, I have to abide by the law. Good thing I'm not a judge, because I would have quandaries about that, but I would have to do that. I'm like, this is it. This is the rule. This is the way it's made. You don't like it, change the laws. I can't. If I do that, I have just blown all my credibility. And I think all these judges have blown their credibility. People are afraid because they're like, oh no, I don't have this or that last name. That means, or I have this obvious last name, right? My ethnics are not correct for this courtroom. I'm going to lose even though I'm completely in the right. Or I'm not going to get justice. And you can tell the judges that do that. You're like, what? Yep. Okay. Lost all their credibility. But they're still a judge, and no one's going to impeach them unless they really do something really, really bad, like eat a baby on national television. Not a dead baby, a live baby. They're going to have to bite the throat out of a live baby to get impeached in this country as a judge. I mean, the locals, some of them, get thrown out, get not retained, right? But a federal judge, once you're appointed, that's it, your life.
It's for life.
Yeah. Now, you could be impeached, but you're literally going to have to lead a live baby on national TV. And on top of that, some of these guys try real hard to get impeached, and you know what happens? The press doesn't cover them. They're like, this guy's trying too hard. Oh, turn your eyes. Don't look. Don't show it to anyone. Don't cover it. Don't let anyone know. Tell them, it's a conspiracy theory. All right, so for the last few minutes, so that was an excellent wrestling show. And if you want to see another great wrestling show, this is going to be at Juliana's. Juliana's is at Peterson and Sacramento in Chicago. Friday, 6 o'clock, wrestling show, Ultimate Combat Gauntlet. So if you have a chance to get down there, I know it's Friday traffic, but they have ample parking, if not on the side streets, in the back lot, right? They got a bar there, nice bartenders there. The owners are great, it's a great venue. And right next door, if you like Nigerian food, I mean, they lease their kitchen out to Nigerian cooks. I understand the food is real good. All right. If you've ever had the Nigerian food, it's pretty good. All right. So you could order the food there, but come for the wrestling show and see these young wrestlers. I mean, you pay $1,500 to get a front row seat in WWE. I'm sure your 10-year-old will love that, paid $1,500 for that. Bring your 10-year-old, it's only $10. He's going to see wrestlers up close where he can actually pretty much touch them, interact with them, have his picture taken with these guys, right? He's going to see them. They're, right up front. And we'll see you next week on Chief Guard of the Republic.
Have a great week. Bye.